Welcome to the Warframe Weapon Encyclopedia, where today we're checking out the AkLex Prime. Now the AkLex Prime is quite special because the only way to get it is to actually use two Lex Prime pistols and combine them with a blueprint and a link that only comes from relics that you can get from Barakatir or from other players that also bought it from Barakatir. So in the video description I will leave a link to the official Wikipedia websites for the AkLex Prime as well as the Lex Prime so you can see which relics you want to go for, or if they're even available at the time that you're watching this video. The AkLex Prime are a pair of Mastery Rank 15 semi-automatic secondary pistols that do quite high damage per shot, most of which is in the form of puncture, and they have good crit and good status. They're also very accurate, but they pack some of the nastiest recoil in the entire game, so waiting in between shots is definitely recommended. Like, if these things kicked any more, you'd probably do a backflip every time you pull that trigger. And this recoil, as you can see on the right, doesn't just kick, it completely destroys the accuracy as well. As far as the setup on the AkLex Prime, I personally like to run this build, which is definitely not optimal, and I will show you a different one in a later bit that just has a lot of heat damage with a ton of crit, and it also runs quick draw to bump the reload from 3 seconds down to 2. But if you want something a little bit more effective, you want to go for a hybrid setup even though the fire rate isn't super high, so you would run something like this, where you have 3 dual stat mods with Jot, Pistol Pestilence for corrosive, and then Scorch for heat. Though this will leave you with a 3-second reload, which is quite harsh with a weapon that has 16 rounds in the magazine. So what I would do if I were to run this build is actually take out Scorch and put in Stunning Speed instead. The build does perform really well though, comfortably taking down level 100 enemies even with somewhat heavy armor like these heavy gunners in just a couple of headshots. This is sort of the upper end of what the weapon can do. If you push it beyond this, like to level 120, and you introduce some of the really chunky enemies like bombards and napalms, it is going to struggle. Because while the status you do proc does make a difference, it doesn't make enough of a difference to essentially scale the weapon infinitely like you can do with some viral slash weapons. Is this weapon worth picking up? I think it is, personally, because it's one of the most powerful feeling weapons in the entire game. Like, this is the kind of handgun you would use if you want to shoot someone, but they're unfortunately sitting inside of a tank. It is not a perfect weapon though. It doesn't deal that well with the corpus because of their shielding, and it doesn't fire fast enough to deal with the infested because there's simply too many of them and they're gonna overwhelm you. I can also see how the recoil is a massive turnoff for a lot of people, and I absolutely understand that because yep, this weapon kicks a lot. And even for me personally, the 3-second reload is absolutely atrocious. But it is a very powerful gun that's a ton of fun to use, and it will take you through the majority of the game, including most of the sorties as well. So definitely give this weapon a shot. It is really fun. I personally like to use it every now and then, and it's a massive upgrade over the standard AkLex as well. And that is pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching as always guys. I hope you've enjoyed it and it was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.